People ask the question,
What are these guys made of?
You might want to hose him down. He smells like a
RocknRolla.
Welcome back to Cocktail Cinema, folks, your weekly movie review podcast. I'm your first favorite bartender, third favorite author, Josh Price, and I am joined by my personal crew, Greg, and our producer, Shasti.
Hello.
Hello.
Real rock and roll types.
Yeah, real rock and roll types. This week,
RocknRolla.
we are reviewing REAL, the Guy Ritchie film from 2008. This movie had a budget of $18 million and a surprisingly low box office return of $25 million.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, for a Guy Ritchie movie, that's kind of low.
Yeah. Ouch, Ritchie.
Up front, this is or was intended to be the first part in a trilogy. We'll get into that later. Partly because it has such a star-studded ensemble. Grego, give us some of the top names.
I'm going to give him some of the top names. Not all of them. But Gerard Butler as 1-2. Moving on to Mark Strong as Archie. Tom Wilkinson as Lenny Cole. Toby Cabell, Johnny Quid. Tom Hardy, Handsome Rob, Handsome Bob. Idris Elba as Mumbles. And Thandie Newton as Stella.
Indeed.
There's a lot more in there. Piven's in there, a bunch more. But, these are the players.
There's some names that'll come up down the line,
Right.
here talking about it. But, this movie really makes me want to class things up a little bit. So,
What do you got first?
you feel like having a Manhattan?
I do, yeah.
You feel like taking a hop over the pond and having a little brandy?
A little brandy. A little
So-
brandy here.
Little
What we
brandy
got
makes you
going
dandy.
is Christian Brothers brandy. We like to ball on a budget. That is definitely your go-to when it comes to brandy. We've also, so it's an ounce of that. We've got a half ounce of amaretto, just under half an ounce of sweet vermouth, and 5 dashes of our favorite cherry bitters. We forewent the simple syrup because the amaretto's sweet enough. And
Just like
cheers,
me.
boys.
Cheers.
RocknRolla.
I had to go back for a second sip.
Yeah, no need for simple
yeah.
syrup on that one.
No, and I mean, a good Manhattan rides that balance between boozy and sweet. So
Yep.
this is not too sweet, it's not too fruity, and it's not too over the top with the brandy. Like, that's the reason, like, a lot of Manhattans, you'll do an ounce and a half of the main liquor, but
Sure.
we toned it down
Sure,
a little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
so that it blended.
Yeah, it's good. You could have went over the top with this because of the movie feature and just given us dope.
Yeah.
Well,
I
we're,
kid, I
I mean,
kid.
we're going to crank one out, but we're not going to crank one out. You know what I mean?
You could have made the same drink we made for Snatch. If you really right.
Well, I wanted to be classy, but not quite as classy
There you
as
go.
Snatch.
Yeah.
I mean, Guy Ritchie's definitely got a style to him. He's a suit guy, and I wanted a drink that Guy Ritchie would feel comfortable sipping on,
Word.
but so would we.
It's perfect.
So it's a nice balance between our
Yeah, I like it a
lifestyles
lot.
as well. So REAL, this comes a little bit later in Ritchie's career, more or less. This movie's still 13 years old at this point. We just had the 13-year anniversary here in September.
Perfect.
As of
Okay.
recording this, was like 2 days ago that
right.
it came out in the States. So yeah,
We're getting old.
right? But it's still kind of a fresh feel.
Yeah.
The Guy Ritchie film style is
keeps
more or
that
less
way.
timeless.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you watch The Gentleman, it's the same kind of cinematography as, RocknRolla and Snatch. So it doesn't matter where you are in his career, he looks current.
Right. Maybe it's
And-
because he does so much bouncing around.
Partly. I think,
He keeps his scenes fresh because he's ever moving in all of his films, pretty much.
yeah,
Bang, bang,
absolutely.
bang,
He
bang.
brings that
Absolutely.
energy to the table.
I think the other thing is, like, jumping off of the
Yeah.
energy thing, he's very comfortable in who he is.
Right.
And he
That's
didn't.
too comfortable.
He did an interview with Rogan where he talked about owning the suit, because you don't just buy a suit.
Yeah.
You own a suit. So he's like, this suit that I'm wearing right now, I bought it off the shelf. I didn't have it tailored. I had it. I had the legs trimmed to fit, and that was about it. But it's not about pouring yourself into the suit, but pouring the suit into you. So it's owning who you are, and he takes the same approach to his filmmaking. He owns the projects; they don't own him. So where you've got a lot of directors, like we talk about Tarantino a lot, his projects own him because they are so much of who he is. But with Guy Ritchie, it's the opposite effect, where he owns the product. He is not the product. The product just comes out of him because it's personality. He owns
Yeah.
the space.
Well, at the same process of that, we've talked about this. He kind of picks one character to be himself in this movie, much like Tarantino does as well.
Yeah.
So he's putting his suit on other people as well, or forcing
Absolutely.
them to fit his clothing.
Absolutely.
But-
The giveaway with the director's inserts with Ritchie is find the person that talks like Guy Ritchie. Like listen to the way Guy Ritchie talks, and then find
if
the
you want
character.
to roll,
Yeah, right. So we're talking Jason Statham.
It's usually Jason Statham.
yeah.
But if you want to know who Guy Ritchie, how he sees himself, look for the person that talks like he does in his films, and you're pretty spot on there.
So we talked a little bit on this one. Was Gerard Butler supposed to be in this movie, or was this a Jason
Not originally.
Statham filled?
Not originally. So Jason Statham, just because of his relationship with Guy Ritchie, was supposed to join the cast, but he had a scheduling conflict, and they brought in Gerard Butler for the 1-2 role. And
He was filming Crank
Makes sense.
4
Right.
at the time.
right, speaking of Crank,
instead of Lock, Stock 4.
Yeah, right.
4 Smoking Bear.
I love Gerard Butler. You know,
do
he's
too.
one of my, in my opinion, one of our generation. He's up there for me.
Absolutely.
Very well-rounded. He does those women. Women love him. He plays that nice guy kind of thing very well. Comes back and he's a badass. You know, like Law-Abiding Citizen was one of my favorite roles of him. Complete badass.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Kind of like how Mel Gibson played into
Ooh.
his stature
Yeah.
growing up for me. You know, I kind of
Yeah.
touch it all kind of thing.
I want to dig into that a little bit.
All right,
Gerard
all right.
Butler is absolutely a modern Mel Gibson.
Modern Mel.
Because
Modern
let's
Mel.
think about the way their careers kind of mirror each other. So Gibson got his start in a post-apocalyptic action movie with the first Mad Max, and was established as an action hero. But he also did like What Women Want,
Right.
and he's
Oh, I see. The
he's-
rom-com.
Yeah.
Yeah,
aspect
exactly,
of Gerard-
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
He's
Because I
still-
think Leonidas, whenever I,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right,
when, I,
yeah.
when I see our guy, but it's like, you're right. There were so many of those rom-coms where he's
Yep.
just killing it.
Yeah,
Just killing it.
So it's and I mean, with Gerard Butler, like the big rom-com or the big like quote unquote girly movie that he's in was like P.S. I Love You,
Right.
where he's absolutely the diehard love interest, and it's not comedic whatsoever. But then he did like that action movie with Jennifer Aniston, I think
Yeah,
it
I
was,
was
where
gonna
he
say
was the
Jennifer Aniston.
assassin.
Yep.
But he can do all of those roles. Like even in this movie, he's got comedic parts.
Right.
He's got some action stuff. He's got some serious moments, and he's got some problematic moments. Like his character, he's able to play all of that real well.
Amen. Yeah, and similar to that nod is Tom Hardy. You know, obviously, handsome Bob. You know, I mean, women love him.
They
you know.
swoon.
They
They
swoon.
be swooning.
He be swooning.
They be swooning.
I mean,
I'd be swooning.
I'd go for it.
But
I'd be
you know,
swooning.
but as from we've watched the movie, he's gay.
shoot my shot.
He's gay in this movie. You know,
Yeah, and I mean,
which I thought it was hilarious that the interaction between him and
it was so real.
and
It was
Gerard
so
Butler.
real.
He's so real. Yeah, you're right.
Especially for the time. This is 2008. The conversation between 1-2 and Handsome Bob is very realistic.
When he
for
comes
the
out?
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
when he's like, "I want you."
Yeah.
It's like, no. Oh my God! He stops the car and he flips out. And he's got a very homophobic moment.
Yeah.
But then he's like,
I'm
"Okay,
sorry.
you're my buddy.
I'm sorry. Yep.
Like, I need to look at this realistically. It doesn't change who you are.
I'm sorry.
I'm still weirded out."
But there's
Let's
that
kiss
moment
and make
too,
up.
which is like, what do you want to do to me? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh no. And so you're like, you think it's gonna be so bad, and flash forward a little bit, like they shared a slow
They had a
dance.
slow dance.
And like now it's like open ended. He's like, don't tell anybody
And-
about what happened. And now he's making, you know, the anti or the homophobic stuff is out the window at
Yeah.
the end of the movie, where
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like,
He
I want
overcomes
to come
it.
with you. I want to come home with you. Can I
Yeah.
come? You know,
They're just two bros.
I'm going to bed.
Two
Can I
bros.
come?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
And if you really watch the slow dance scene,
Yeah.
yeah, like Handsome Bob's hand keeps going down. It's like a middle school dance.
Yeah.
Like he keeps lifting it up his back.
So good. So good.
And it's I thought the handling of homophobia in this movie was really good.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
the rest of the crew is like, so he's gay.
Yeah.
Get the fuck over.
Yeah,
it.
we all know.
Yeah. Like you're the only one who didn't figure it out. Now you're freaking out about it.
And
like,
Idris Elba's character is like already sending him to like lock down a deal with
Yeah.
whoever congressman or whatnot to find the informant. But
He was Guy Ritchie was married to Madonna at this time. I'm pretty sure they were just engaged for Snatcher dating. You know what I mean? He's
Right.
like
Oh, really?
sexual freedom at this point.
yeah,
Just like,
yeah.
Yeah,
And it's cool to see.
Yeah,
it's
no,
cool
it
to
really
see.
is.
Like
It
he's
really
not taking a hard stance on anything. He's not trying to make a point of anything.
No, it just
He just has a
just
gay
connected
character.
like
Yeah.
3 great scenes together.
Yeah.
Like, it's
It's
amazing.
wonderful.
and he's kind of a genius at that point, kind of just bringing up the lightheartedness and keeping this. Like these people are all of them are about to die if
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
come
Yeah,
through with
yeah.
the painting or the money,
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. And he has that element of just like, yeah, whatever. gay.
It's still
you're gay,
whimsical,
whatever.
yeah.
Like,
yeah. This is not our biggest problem here, man.
Exactly.
Like, come on,
Get over it, bro.
Go with the times.
It's all the straight dudes are fighting over a painting.
You're right.
Like,
And Handsome Bob just wants that sweet, sweet Gerard Butler.
Yes.
Which, if it were possible, they'd make beautiful babies. They really would.
Amen.
And I mean,
All right.
Hallelujah.
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 Hollywood.
Hollywood ya. Yeah.
Oh, there you
Hollywood
go.
ya.
That's nice.
I mean, and Tom Hardy, in typical fashion, cannot have a part without putting in a funny voice.
Yeah, right.
So he's
Very true.
like I don't think I've heard his real voice ever. So at least in this one, it's toned down, but he's very, very clearly playing a bit. It's not as over the top as Bane.
Yeah,
obviously.
right. Well, he's
But-
come a long way. I feel like this
Or
might have been one of
Lawless.
his. I mean, there's been some of the earlier stuff. But I think this is a big one for jumping off to his career. He's made the most of his career. I think you would
Absolutely.
agree. The kid's the guy, the man.
Awesome.
He kills it, man. He's a great actor.
Great.
Yeah. Moving on. These two guys, Gerard Butler and Tom Hardy. I think they're generational talent for our
Agreed. Agreed.
talk.
And we're talking about a cast that is generational talent
Right.
for 3 generations here. We've got the guy who played Lenny.
Yeah, Tom Wilkinson,
Tom
for
Wilkinson.
sure. He's been in a million
Yeah,
movies.
he's been around for ages.
Yeah.
And then after that you have Mark Strong.
Yeah.
Who we saw him in Kingsman.
Yep.
As Merlin, but he's done a whole bunch of other
Right,
stuff.
right.
He's a very well known, very well respected actor. And again, we've got Tom Hardy and Gerard Butler here. We have even the comedic. Like the comedic release in Jeremy Piven and Ludacris.
True.
Or should we
Yeah.
call him by his real name? Or Ludacris is his real name.
Luda.
Luda.
Well, actually, I thought a lot of that comedic relief came in with Lemmy Cole's adopted stepson, Johnny Quid,
Johnny Quid.
played by Toby Cabell. This guy,
Yeah.
I think he was a star of the show. I mean, he literally
He looks the part.
he took care of, or he what's the best way to put this? He was the timing for the movie.
Yes.
Every part of this movie was completely and utterly balanced and based on his problems, his thoughts, everything. They needed to find him, but they couldn't. But at the same time, he's stirring up the pot on
Yeah.
huge Russian connections, guys who's running the entire city.
Yeah.
And he's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
Hilarious. I mean, he's
The elevator scene.
He like owns the whole dope head kind of guy. We're junkies. Has fun, but he's smart. He's wicked
Very.
smart. For sure. And
Very.
at the end of the movie, it was cool to see him kind of rise into fame a little bit and kind of like, I'm ready to do this.
Take the
thing.
role.
I know.
And it shows he's very much his father's son because even as yacked out as he is during this flick, he's always in control.
You're right, you're right.
He controls the painting, and he knows that controls so many other people's lives.
And he
that's why
controls his
didn't
own
sell it.
emotions so well, like talking about him being the pipe, and like you're not talking to Johnny anymore, you're talking to the pipe. He's just mixing it up, keeping people on their toes. He's got a sick sense on control.
Well, and let's be real here. Like Johnny is really the leak that leads to I forget the guy's name, but the guy in the club that gives Tom Hardy the folder.
Yeah,
He's Johnny
Right.
Quid is the reason that guy has that information. Johnny Quid is the reason that Mark Strong finds out about him being double crossed, and he's the reason that Luda and Jeremy Piven survive this
Yep.
this movie.
You know who also had a hand in that too? The beautiful Thandie Newton as Stella. She, the accountant. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to find another strong woman presence on that era of movie. She killed it. Like,
Yeah.
It was funny though. The first time I saw it, I was like, when she was brought in, I was like, she's got a very long neck, but she's gorgeous. But she's in a realm all of her own. She's standalone. She's playing both sides,
Yeah.
and she helps them out a little bit at the back end of that.
And-
I don't know if she died, but
She's totally dead, right?
I think so. I think so.
We don't like Hollywood rules. We don't see a body and we
Yeah.
don't hear any shots.
Right,
so
right.
maybe she survives. It's a question for
she's an accountant, and she's
Guy Ritchie.
handling in this movie already $14 million. So every man has a price.
Yeah.
She's probably got something stashed away.
Yeah, and I mean it would be interesting to see where her story goes or ends in a way.
Right.
Because like we said, this was supposed to be a trilogy.
Right,
And it's
right.
just been in development hell because the ownership rights to the first movie are held by a specific company, and Guy Ritchie owns the script for the second movie. So he's been shopping it around, and because RocknRolla wasn't quite as big of a hit as it could have been,
Yeah.
it didn't what they could warrant a sequel,
Right,
even
right.
though he's got 3 stories lined up because he was only on the books for one deal or for one film deal.
Yeah.
Well, that's just smart. I mean, I know he leaves the cliffhangers at the end of
Yeah.
every movie, but it's
like
that's smart
Artie
one
in
if
the-
you're.
in the-
That's
Yeah,
different than
what it was.
Lock, Stock in the sense where if you plan on making a sequel or a trilogy, not to necessarily kill people. Like that was so much a cliffhanger as it was. I think a strategy move to kind
Absolutely.
of
And you can tell the genius behind his filmmaking because he's like, if I don't get a sequel, none of this has to be wrapped up. It just fits into that fun James Bond, like James Bond will return in Goldfinger.
And it's not like he's
kind
hurting
of
for
feel.
work.
Yeah.
He's not hurting for work. You know, he blockbusted Aladdin. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
And right before that, The Gentleman.
Yeah.
And he's got another movie coming out
I think right after,
this year, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's not hurting for work.
No,
He's
not at all.
got it all put together. It's nice to have, stuff in the bank,
Yeah.
just kind of ready to go.
I'm still waiting for
Um,
that 3rd Sherlock movie.
Yeah,
There you
go. I was just gonna say that, but we've been covering so many directors lately.
Well, I mean,
That's him,
like,
right?
Yeah. Oh,
that's him. And truth be told, he's given us the best Sherlock Holmes in the last 30 years.
Agreed.
Because nothing against Benedict Cumberbatch. That's really like I could get into my thoughts on Moffat and how BBC handles
Benedict
Sherlock.
Cumberbatch. That's a
But
name.
it was like Sherlock is a letdown, but Sherlock Holmes by Guy Ritchie is fantastic. It even blows Elementary out of the water, which
Yeah.
is a decent handling of the character. So this is a filmmaker who knows his characters just as well as he knows himself. And he's on record saying, you can go into my movies looking for a fun time and you'll get it. You can go into my movies looking for something else, something deeper, and you'll get it. My films are
true.
here so that whatever amount you want to invest in them, you will get that in return. Which I love and hate the guy because I know if I was in his shoes, I would absolutely be trying to do the same thing. And he succeeds so well
Right.
with it
Yeah.
that it's frustrating.
No,
it's like,
for sure.
why is there so much talent in
It's-
one person?
It is, but it's like it gets convoluted sometimes because it's not for everyone. His storytelling usage is not the way everyone thinks or wants to think. People get migraines just watching his
Yeah.
films, because they're so outrageous scatterplot moments. You know, what I mean, you don't really get full investment from if you're looking for big time character analysis and it's there on some flicks, I guess, but it's just it doesn't seem to fill out.
Yeah.
Or at least this movie for me.
Agreed.
It wasn't.
He's got better stuff.
Yeah,
He's got better stuff.
it just didn't seem to kind of feel whole. There's
enough.
always plots, but I guess he was setting himself up for 2 and 3. But
Yeah.
at the same time,
Well, and I'm going to pivot a little bit
I like
here.
to have even those second and thirds to have
More resolve.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, absolutely.
just
Absolutely.
feeling full.
I'm going to pivot a little bit here.
Oh.
And so we covered Layer Cake a few months back.
Right.
And I think that's even more than other Guy Ritchie movies, that has more of a tie to this than anything else. If you were to compare Layer Cake and RocknRolla, which would you say accomplished this plot style better? Because it's about a small team and a big boss who's trying to
Right,
screw
right.
them over.
Pretty much
Yeah, I wanna
same
kick
thing.
this
It's
to Chassis
paced
first.
kind of the same too.
They're very similar.
I think I like Layer Cake overall better. I feel like it's even paced a little slower.
It is.
But there's more. There's not that like signature mystery at the end. I feel like you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's an ending where you get caught off guard, right?
And
But
a character who may or may
But you're
not have
not
died.
asking. Well, true.
Yeah.
But it's not like the same like the end of Lock, Stock when the bag of guns are on the
Yeah.
the bridge. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
It kinda goes
the
into
end,
a
if
suit.
the ending extended 5 minutes and you walk down to a shallow part of the water and just drag the guns out of it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like there seems to
Absolutely.
be more mystery in that sense than like
Well, you talked about wearing
that
a
Craig's
suit.
character
He
dying
wears
at
a
the end
suit.
of Layer Cake. I
Yeah,
just want to say
yeah.
like I
No.
think Layer Cake. I see why you're asking that question because they are kind of like paced similarly.
They're very similar.
I feel
films.
like there's not as many characters in Layer Cake.
Not by a long
cover.
shot, now
So
they
I
mention
feel like
it,
they
yeah.
kind of like
Yeah, it's
he-
way-
like,
it's in
I
a
feel
way
he was
easier
able to
watch.
co-
It's a
like,
bigger web.
He was able to cover cover more ground more efficiently.
Totally.
Efficiency, maybe not on this one, at least for me. I think Layer Cake was able to put those characters
I was
in
saying
places.
for Layer Cake.
Okay, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha,
100%.
gotcha. Yeah, no, I think this one fell short as far as what he was able to accomplish in Layer Cake.
I agree. And as much as I like Michael Gambon, who played the Lenny character in Layer Cake,
Yeah, right.
I think Lenny Lenny does make a better villain because you hate him more. You still like Michael Gambon in Layer Cake to some degree, even though they both screw the team in the same way. But it was just something that occurred to me as the credits were rolling yesterday, and I wanted to get your opinion.
Yeah, no.
Because, you know, I like to sip on your opinions.
Oh, it's kind of sippable, in my opinion.
And, you know, we sure sip a lot, but we like to consume a few tacos here and there.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That we do.
So, here at Sippable Opinions, and specifically on Cocktail Cinema, we like to rate our movies out of 100 tacos because screw tomatoes. So while Shasti is bringing up the Rotten Tomato score, Grego, what do you give RocknRolla?
This one's tough for me. Really tough. Because I really respect Guy Ritchie as a director. Like I talked about before, not enough substance for me in this one. Storyline I thought was real cool. You're chasing a painting the whole time. And I thought that these big names that he brought in were outshined by Johnny Quid.
Yes.
I think he was the best character in this film. I would hope that they bring a second because I want to see more of him. He's a great character. And I don't know. I'm hard pressed to tell you anything that he's been in before. But he should be in film.
Yeah.
This one, man, I got to go low. I got to say this is a 73 for me.
Really?
73.
Okay.
I love the play. What this movie could have been. I think Guy Ritchie got a little too comfortable. Which, as I mentioned before, I think he knows how good he is, and I'm gonna hold him to a different standard. Like you're
fair, totally fair.
Be better.
Yeah.
Be better.
Be
bro.
Guy Ritchie.
Yeah, right. Don't
Be Guy Ritchie.
Don't wear the suit. Don't play it.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Challenge.
I can dig it. Mikey, coming off that hot take, how do you feel?
I think I'm trying to remember what I gave Snatch and kind of base it off that, because in my mind, like 3 movies stand out. Like Lock, Stock is number 1 for me. Snatch is number 2. This is 3. So I would say I give this a 75, and I'm basing that off of, I think I give Snatch an 85, and I'd probably give Lock, Stock like 89 or 90.
Totally fair.
But-
Totally fair.
Don't show us your cards before we cover.
Oh, that could
You
change.
guys already
before we
you
get
know
there.
everything I have to say about that movie. I've literally like take everything whatever.
When we get to Lockstock, it's gonna be the Mikey show.
Right.
It's gonna be let him go. No, I can dig it.
It felt like instead of the bag of guns, it's a painting, and it felt a little too familiar, especially after like you know what I mean, all the work we've been doing.
This doesn't quite squeak into B territory for me. This is a 79. I think it's very well acted with a few exceptions, and it's simply because of the utilization of certain characters like Ludacris and Jeremy Piven. And even Idris Elba is not given enough room to breathe because we almost have too much Gerard Butler. We have the perfect amount of Tom Hardy, and we have too much Lenny.
That's why I'm sorry to cut you off, and I know this is your time right now, but that's exactly why I'm giving it a low score, because the acting was phenomenal, but there wasn't enough.
Yeah, there wasn't room
Let's
to
give
breathe.
our man some more screen time right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go, Idris.
The man who should have been Bond.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Could be nice.
And we're comparing it to the movie with the guy who became Bond. So
Sidney Poitier. Sorry, Courtier. Sorry, I'm thinking Couture.
Poitier.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. So a 79 for me. And so what does Rotten Tomatoes say? What do people think?
I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's go right to there.
Oh!
So
critics give RocknRolla a 60 and audiences give it a 71.
Wow.
I am giving this movie too much credit. That's
hits you?
That's interesting.
This is one of your picks. You know, I mean, it's not too much credit. It's
No, I mean,
like
this
RocknRolla.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Look, 50,000 ratings.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were a lot of people who gave it a 79.
Yeah.
Well, of
tacos,
of course.
Tacos,
Yeah.
Some people think this
the
is Guy
tomatoes.
Ritchie's best movie.
Exactly.
I
That's
would
what I'm
never
saying.
say that.
I know, but
Yeah.
I've talked to people that do.
Yeah.
They love.
I mean, I think this is still a fun movie, and that has to factor in to some degree.
It does. Yeah.
But it's not as well executed as it could be. So, like I said, it's not a B for me.
Yeah.
But
Camera didn't stand out.
audience,
Yes.
Yo,
people watching, people listening, hop down in the comments down below. Give us your taco rating and tell us why. Do you love RocknRolla? Do you wish it would go away? Do you want to see a sequel?
RocknRolla.
Yeah. Hit that like button while you're down there. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, for those of you listening on your podcast network of choice, we see you and appreciate you. Give us a comment and a rating there as well. Any bit of interaction goes a long way. The world is run by algorithms, and they do not like people. If you'd like to go even further with your support of Sippable Opinions, hop on over to our Patreon and support us at patreon.com/Sippable Opinions. There you will get early access to all of our episodes, exclusive shows like The Sip, and exclusive merch. We just teamed up with Patreon for their loyalty program. All of our existing patrons get merch every 3-4 months or so.
It's like $1.
Yeah, you can, for as little as $1 a month, you can support the channel.
Just show some interest.
Show
I'll
us
pay
some
the
love.
dollar.
You can show us some love. And every dollar goes a long way to helping us out. Our patrons have helped us get gear and supplies and food for the winter.
Right. Well, a nice heater last year.
And yeah. So we do appreciate every person that supports us, whether you're a patron or not. We do love our patrons, though. And for all of you watching and listening and subscribing, because I know you will, because you never know who's watching, we'd like to say goodbye.